Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book and take page number 122. So today we will move to fifth unit in geography, hazards. So hazard means a thing or an event that can cause dangerous or damage to human life or property. So that is called as hazard. So hazard means an event or a thing or a person who causes danger to people or property. So that may result in a disaster. That is called as hazard. So today's class we will discuss about the definition for hazards, then the types of hazard, then the major hazards in India, then finally about the preventive measures. Okay, so learning objectives. So what are you going to learn from this unit? First, to learn the meanings of hazard, disaster and catastrophe. So to learn the meanings of hazard, disaster and catastrophe. So catastrophe, a sudden event that causes many people to suffer. So catastrophe means an event that happens suddenly. So it happened in an unexpected time. So that causes danger, that causes damage to many people. Okay, so to learn the meanings of hazard, disaster and catastrophe. So hazard, so it is a natural process and event that causes threat to human life and property. So disaster, it is an hazardous event that occurs over a limited time span in defined area and causes great damage to property and loss of life. So and disaster need assistance from others. So disaster need help from others. So catastrophe, it is a massive disaster. So hazard means a small event so that causes damage to life and property. Disaster, a big event. When any disaster happens means we need help from others. A catastrophe, a mass disaster. Okay, so it requires a lot of money and a long time for recovery. Okay, then to describe the major types of hazards, their causes and effect. So next you learn about the major types of hazard, their causes and effect. Then to develop awareness regarding hazards and related prevention measures. So to develop awareness, so to create awareness among the people about the hazards and preventive measures related with each hazard. So learning objectives, so to learn the meanings of hazard, disaster and catastrophe, then to describe the major types of hazard, their causes and effect, then to develop awareness regarding hazards and related preventive measures. So this lesson, in introduction, this lesson started as a discussion in class. So the teacher was taking attendance and he asked any absent is there. So they told a student named Shruti is absent. So he asked why she was absent. So they told she was struck by a big branch of a tree due to heavy rain and she got injured. So teacher felt sad and told the students must be very careful while moving around to avoid the problems from hazard. So now he used the word hazard. So now the students asked, so what is the meaning of the word hazard? So there is a football player from Belgium, so named Hazard. So they thought he mentioned about that person. But the teacher replied, so hazard is not a name of the football player, but it is an event which can affect the living and non-living things of the earth. So lesson starts like this. So hazard. So in the beginning of the 21st century, the earth supported a human population that was more numerous. So in the beginning of the 21st century, that is 2000, year 2000. So after the year of 2000, so the earth had a huge population, that is more than 600 crore population is there. Now it almost crossed 750 crore. So the total population of the world is now 750 crores, almost. So more than 750 crores. So it was found healthier and wealthier than ever before. At the same time, there were a lack of awareness on the risk that was faced by the people. So even though the 21st century the earth supported a human population that was numerous and found healthier and wealthier than ever before. But at the same time, there were a lack of awareness on the risk that faced by the people. So by keeping this in mind, the present lesson, so this lesson, hazard, it is intended to familiarize the different types of hazard, to promote awareness among the students regarding the hazards. So the 21st century, so the earth supported a huge population. So most of the people were healthier and wealthier. So this was not seen ever before. But even though, so there are lot of awareness, there are lot of population, so people don't have the awareness about the hazards. So this lesson is intended to familiarize the different types of hazard, so to promote awareness among the students about the hazards. So what is mean by hazard? So hazards are defined as a thing, a person or event or a factor that poses a threat to people, structure or economic assets, that means property, and which may cause a disaster. So hazard is a thing or a person or an event, so that causes, that poses a threat to the people or an property which may cause a disaster. So they could be either human made or naturally occurring in the environment. So hazards may be either human induced or naturally occurring in the environment. Actually the word hazard is origin from the French word, so old French word hazard, so meaning a game of dice. So hazard is derived from the old French word hazard, meaning a game of dice. So the dice game, a game of dice. So hazards are defined as the thing, person, event or factor that poses a threat to people, structure or economic assets which may cause a disaster. So they could be either human made or naturally occurring in the environment. So the word hazard is originated from the old French word hazard, meaning a game of dice. So though the society experiences several types of hazard, it is important for a region to be aware of those threats that are mostly likely to affect the community most severely. So though the society experiences several types of hazard, it is important for a region. So say for example, so we may face drought, or mostly we face, in our region we mostly face drought only, but we won't face earthquake or landslide. So in our region, so we have to be aware. So what type of hazard may take place in our region? Okay, so the society should be aware, of those threats that are mostly likely to affect the community most severely. So the types of hazards. So some hazards occur frequently and threat the people. So some hazards occur frequently, so often it occurs. But some hazards we don't know the time. So it may occur in an unexpected time. So hazards are classified in different ways. So first based on their occurrence, and second one based on their origin. So the hazards are classified in different ways. So first based on their occurrence, based on their causes of occurrence, then based on their origin. So first we will discuss about based on their cause of occurrence. So based on their cause of occurrence, so hazards can be classified into three types. So based on their cause of occurrence, so hazards can be classified into three types. So natural, human-made, and socio-natural hazards. So first natural hazards. So these are the results of natural process, and man has no role. So natural hazards, these are, so because of these happen naturally. So man has no role. So the main example of this type of hazards are earthquake, flood, cyclonic storms, drought, landslide, tsunami, and volcanic eruption. So they are happening naturally. So man has no role to play in this. So the hazards, so based on their cause of occurrences, so classified into three types. So natural, human-made, and socio-natural hazards. So natural means it happen naturally. So man has no role to play in this. So say for example, so earthquake, so then tsunami, then cyclonic storm, so drought, so landslide, volcanic eruption. So we won't know so when it will happen. So they are happening naturally. So man has no role to play. Then human-made hazards. So these are caused by the undesirable activities of human. So the unwanted activities of human. It can be result of an accident. So such as industrial chemical leak or oil spill, or an intentional act. So some may, so in order to cause an accident, so some may do such activity. So such hazards can disturb the safety, health, welfare of the people, and cause damage or destruction of property. So some of the human-made hazards are explosions, hazardous waste, pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. Then dam failure, war. So war between two countries, or civil conflict and terrorism. So these are human-made hazards. So human-made hazards. So these are caused by the human activities. So it can be the result of an accident. So like so any industrial chemical leak. So any chemicals so that leaked from so chemical industries. Or oil spill. So in any area. So maybe a oil spill from a ship or in a factory, or an intentional act. So such hazards so disturb the safety, health, and welfare of the people and cause damage to the property. So some of the human-made hazards are explosions, then hazardous waste, then pollution, so which may be air pollution, water pollution, or land pollution. Then dam failure. So we constructed a dam across the river now. So they may also cause sometimes hazards. Then war or civil conflict. So civil conflict means so internal disturbance. Then terrorism. So terrorist activities. Then socio-natural hazards. So quasi-natural hazards. So quasi means so partly. So these are combined caused by the combined effect of natural forces and misdeed. So misdeed means an bad act of human activities. So why it is called as quasi-natural means so these are caused by the combined effects of natural forces and also the activities of humans. So some examples are so the frequency and intensity of flood and drought may increase due to indiscriminate felling of trees, particularly in the catchment areas of the rivers. So why there is the occurrence of flood or drought? Because the human beings so they are cutting trees. So in the river catchment areas. So that's why it resulted in the cause of flood or drought. Then landslides are caused by natural forces and their frequency, and impact may be aggravated as a result of construction of roads, houses, etc. in mountainous area, so excavating tunnels, and by mining and quarrying. So landslides, it is common in hill areas. Why means so we human beings so we cut so the trees in the mountainous areas and we construct road and we built houses there. So naturally the soil become loose and result in landslide. Then so storm surge. So storm means so very bad weather with a strong wind and rain. So sometimes with the thunderbolt. And also lightning. So storm surge hazards may be worsened by the destruction of mangroves. So mangroves, a type of trees and a forest which was seen in the coastal region. So the mangrove trees. So what was its importance means? So they block the cyclonic wind. So from the ocean side. But so we disturbed the mangroves. So there was a chance of storm surge. Then smoke is a serious problem in most big urban areas. So the emission from vehicles and industries, so then combustion of wood and coal together combined with the fog leads to smoke. Okay, so these are the socio-natural hazards. That means these are caused by the combined activities of natural forces and the bad activities of human. So then based on their origin. So types of hazard we discussed based on their causes of occurrence. So natural, human-made, and socio-natural. So now based on their origin, it was classified into 8 categories: atmospheric hazard, geologic or seismic hazard, hydrologic hazard, volcanic hazard, environmental hazard, biological hazard, technological hazard, then human induced hazard. So based on their origin, so hazards can be grouped into 8 categories: so atmospheric, geologic, hydrologic, volcanic, then environmental, biological, technological, then human induced. So first, the atmospheric hazard includes tropical storms, thunderstorm, lightning, tornadoes. So tornadoes means so cyclones, then avalanches. So avalanches, so nothing but so the mass movement of glacier ice. So the avalanches, so nothing but so the mass movement of so a large amount of ice so that fall suddenly so in the polar region or sometimes in the temperate zones. Then heat waves, so fog and forest fire. So these are atmospheric hazard. Then geologic or seismic hazard so related with geographical factor. So earthquake, tsunami, landslide, and land subsidence. So earthquake. So whenever there is an earthquake means it may cause tsunami. So whenever earthquake so that occur in ocean floor means it may sometimes result in tsunami. then landslide and land subsidence, so which may seen in so mountainous region. So these are so geological hazard. Then hydrological hazard, so related with water. Yeah. So flood. So if there is more water, so flood, nothing but so state of high water level along a river channel or an coast that leads to inundation of land. So inundation means a large area of land covered by water. Yeah. Then drought. So drought means if there is a failure of rainfall, yeah, so that may cause drought. Then coastal erosion and storm surges. So storm, already we have seen now. Yeah, very bad weather with strong wind and rain. Yeah, so surge means so moving quickly. Yeah, so the strong wind, so with the rain, so moving fastly. So that is a type of hydrological hazard. Then volcanic hazard, so which includes so volcanoes. Yeah, so eruption and lava flow. Yeah, so volcanic eruption, so which includes which come under volcanic hazard. So eruption and lava flow. Sometimes so the active volcano so burst and releases lava. So which was seen in the interior. So volcanic hazard. Then environmental hazard, so pollution of soil, air and water, then desertification, global warming, then deforestation. So environmental hazard, it includes pollution of soil, air and water, then desertification. Yeah. So desertification means so the area of desert is getting increased. So global warming. So the earth's temperature is increasing. Then deforestation. So that is the cutting of trees. So that is so decreasing the area of natural vegetation. So they were called as environmental hazard. Then biological hazard, so mostly it includes so diseases, so like chicken pox, smallpox, AIDS, and sometimes killer bees. So honeybee, sometimes so some honeycomb. So if we disturb means they try to bite the people so who are disturbing them. So the killer bees. You can consider coronavirus. It is also a biological hazard. So coronavirus, it is also a biological hazard. Technological hazard, so hazardous material incidents, so fire, infrastructure failure, so sometimes bridges, tunnels, dams, nuclear and radiological accidents. So technological hazard means so it includes so hazardous material incidents, so such as fire, infrastructure failure, so that may be a bridge, a tunnel, a dam or nuclear and radiological accident. So technological hazard. Then human induced hazard, so which includes terrorism, bomb blast, war, transportation accident and civil disorder. So human induced hazard which includes terrorism, bomb blast, war, transportation accident, and also civil disorder. So these are the so hazards that can be classified based on their origin. So atmospheric hazard, geological hazard, hydrological hazard, volcanic hazard, environmental hazard, biological hazard, technological hazard, then human induced hazard. So till now we discussed about so the types of hazard based on their causes of occurrence and based on their origin. So now we will discuss about the major hazards in India. So some of the major hazards in India includes earthquake, then flood, cyclonic storm, drought, landslide, tsunami, then hazardous waste and also pollution. So air pollution, water pollution, then land pollution. Okay, so major hazards in India. Earthquake. So earthquake is a violent tremor in earth crust sending out a series of shock waves in all directions from its place of origin. So earthquake, a violent event, so in the earth crust, so a vibration in earth crust, so sending out a series of shock waves in all directions from its place of origin. Earthquake prone regions of the country have been identified on the basis of scientific inputs relating to seismicity, earthquake occurred in the past, and tectonic setup of the region. So earthquake prone regions of the country can be identified on the basis of scientific inputs related to seismicity. So the level of earthquake. Then earthquake occurred in the past. So whether any earthquake that occurred in the past, and tectonic setup of the region. So based on this input, so the Bureau of Indian Standard has grouped the country into 4 seismic zones. So zone 2, zone 3, zone 4 and zone 5. So no area of India is classified as zone 1. So earthquake, a violent tremor in the earth crust sending out a series of rock waves, so series of shock waves in all directions from its place of origin. So based on the seismic activity, then earthquake occurred in the past and the tectonic setup. So India is divided into four seismic zone. So zone 2, zone 3, zone 4 and zone 5. So this map shows the earthquake prone zones of India. So zone 5, which is, so the level of risk is very high. So comprises entire northeast India, then part of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Ran of Kutch in Gujarat, then part of North Bihar and Andaman Nicobar Island. Then zone 4, so the level of risk is high. So it covers the remaining part of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh and the National Capital Territory of Delhi, Sikkim, northern part of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal, parts of Gujarat and a small portion of Maharashtra near the west coast and Rajasthan. Then zone 3, the level of risk is moderate. So this comprises of Kerala, Goa, Lakshadweep Island, remaining part of Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, West Bengal, parts of Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Then zone 2, so covers the remaining part of the country. So the risk is very low here. So the earthquake risk is very low in zone 2. Then next hazard in India, flood. So flood is an event in which a part of the earth surface get inundated. So inundated to cover a large area of land with water. So heavy rainfall and large waves in seas are the common causes of flood. So flood is an event in which a part of the earth surfaces get inundated. So get covered by a large volume of water. So what causes flood? Heavy rainfall and also large waves in the seas. So the common causes of flood. Then the major causes of flood are classified as meteorological factor, physical factor, then human factor. So meteorological factor includes, so heavy rainfall, tropical cyclones, then cloud burst. So meteorological factor includes heavy rainfall, tropical cyclone and cloud burst. So physical factors includes large catchment area, then inadequate drainage arrangement. So improper drainage arrangement, so that may also cause flood. So you may heard about the flood occurrence in Chennai, so 2 years before, so because of heavy rainfall, because it is a large area and also the drainage, so the drainage arrangement is not proper. So that's why if you see in the city areas, that is in the urban areas, if there is very low amount of rainfall, means it may cause flood because there is no thing, so there is no proper drainage facility. Then human factors, so which include deforestation, siltation. So siltation means, so process of blocking something with sand or soil. So process of blocking something with sand or soil or with human waste. Then so faulty agriculture practices, then faulty irrigation practices, then collapse of dam and accelerated urbanization, that is increase in urbanization. So the major causes of flood includes meteorological factor, physical factor, then human factor. So meteorological factor includes heavy rainfall, tropical cyclones, then cloud burst. Physical factor includes large catchment area, then inadequate drainage arrangement. So human factor includes deforestation, siltation, faulty agriculture practices, faulty irrigation practices, then collapse of dam, then accelerated, that is increasing in urbanization process. So this map shows the major flood prone areas in India, so which includes Gangetic Plains, so covering the state of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, North Bihar, West Bengal and Brahmaputra Valley. So the major flood prone areas in the north and northeast India. So Gangetic Plains, so which covers the states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, northern Bihar, West Bengal, Brahmaputra, the Brahmaputra Valley, so in the north and northeast India. So in South India, which includes coastal Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and southern Gujarat. So the regions which are also prone to flood often. So coastal Andhra Pradesh, so during the rainy season, then Odisha, then southern Gujarat. So are the other regions which are also prone to flood. Then cyclonic storm. So cyclonic storm, it is a strong wind. So cyclone means a strong and fast moving wind, so circulating around a low pressure area in the atmosphere. It rotates in the anti-clockwise direction. So anti-clockwise means, so have you seen the clock? So how it rotates? so just opposite. So that is called as anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So India is situated in the which hemisphere, northern or southern? Yeah, northern hemisphere. Yeah, so the hemisphere which lies above the equator were called as northern hemisphere. So we lies in the northern hemisphere. Yeah. So here the cyclones so rotates in the anti-clockwise directions. Yeah. So the tropical cyclones are characterized by the destructive wind. Yeah. So the tropical cyclones. Yeah. So they have the wind, strong wind, which cause damage. Yeah. Then storm surges. So with heavy rainfall and fast moving wind. Yeah. And exceptional levels of rainfall. You can't accept the rainfall amount. Yeah. So it is very large in volume. Yeah. So which may cause flooding. Wind speed may reach up to 200 km per hour and rainfall may record up to 50 cm per day for several days. So a cyclonic storm. A cyclonic storm is a strong wind circulating around a low pressure area in the atmosphere. Say a strong wind that circulates around a low pressure area in the atmosphere. So it rotates in the anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So the characteristic features of tropic cyclones. So it includes so destructive wind, so storm surge, so heavy rainfall, so which may cause flooding. And the speed of the wind may reach up to 200 km per hour and the rainfall may record up to 50 cm per day for several consecutive days. A sudden rise of seawater due to tropical cyclone is called storm surge. A sudden rise of seawater due to tropical cyclone is called as storm surge. It is more common in the regions of shallow coastal water. So storm surge is commonly seen in the coastal region. So shallow coastal water. So the areas affected by the cyclonic storm. So the map shows the areas affected by the cyclonic storm. In the east coastal area, so includes North Odisha, West Bengal coast, then Andhra Pradesh coast between Ongole and Machilipattanam, then Tamil Nadu coast. So among the 13 coastal districts. So the most affected, so the most frequently affected, so coastal districts of Tamil Nadu were Nagapattinam and Kadalur. Then the west coastal area, so which includes Maharashtra coast, north of Harnai and adjoining, so the joining the south Gujarat coast and the coastal belt around the Gulf of Cambay. Then the coastal belt around the Gulf of Kutch. So these are the regions worst affected by the cyclonic storm. So if you take east coast, so it includes North Odisha and West Bengal coast, then Andhra Pradesh coast, so between Ongole and Machilipattanam, then in Tamil Nadu, so the 13 coastal districts, so starting from Tiruvallur and up to Kanyakumari. So all the coastal districts, so all the 13 coastal districts were worstly affected by cyclonic storm. So the most frequently affected so districts were Nagapattinam and Kadalur. Then west coastal area, so vulnerable to storm surge were Maharashtra coast, so which includes north of Harnai and adjoining south Gujarat coast and the coastal belt around the Gulf of Cambay. Then coastal belt around the Gulf of Kutch. So Gulf of Kutch, which we can see in the Gujarat region. So till now we discussed some of the major hazards in India: earthquake, flood and cyclonic storm. Then we will move to drought. So drought, any lack of water to satisfy the normal need of agriculture, livestock, industry or human population may be termed as a drought. So drought means lack of water to satisfy the normal needs so of agriculture, livestock, industry or human population. So that is defined as drought. So drought can be classified into three major types: meteorological drought, hydrological drought, then agriculture drought. So meteorological drought, so it is a situation where there is a reduction in rainfall for a specific period below a specific level. So meteorological drought means situation where there is a reduction in rainfall. Hydrological drought is associated with the reduction of water in stream, river and reservoirs. It is of two types, so surface water drought and groundwater drought. Then agriculture drought, it refers to the condition in which the agriculture crops get affected due to lack of rainfall. So drought in India occur in the event of a failure of monsoon. So because the monsoon rainfall is uneven in India. So some areas receive very heavy rainfall. Other regions get moderate to low rainfall. So the areas which experiences low to very low rainfall are affected by drought. So drought, so lack of water to satisfy the normal needs. So the major areas so highly prone true draft are the arid and semi-arid region from Ahmedabad to Kanpur on one side and from Kanpur to Jalandhar to the other. Then the drier regions lying in the leeward side of the Western Ghats. So the areas so prone to drought are so mostly if you take central India and also South India, the states includes Tamil Nadu. So especially the leeward sides of Western Ghats. So because the Western Ghats, so that blocks the southwest monsoon. That's why if you take the coastal region of the western part of India get more rainfall. But if you take leeward side, so the other side of the Western Ghats, they receive less rainfall. So they were often prone to drought. Then landslide. So landslide is a rapid downward movement of rock, soil and vegetation down the slope under the influence of gravity. So landslide, a rapid, a fast, a sudden downward movement of rock, soil and vegetation. So down the slope. So under the influence of gravity. So landslides are generally sudden and infrequent. So presence of steep slope and heavy rainfall are the major causes of landslide. So presence of steep slope and heavy rainfall are the major cause of landslide. Weak ground structure, deforestation, earthquake, volcanic eruption, mining, construction of roads and railways over the mountains are the other causes of landslide. About 15% of India's land mass is prone to landslide. Landslides are very common along the slopes of Himalayas, the Western Ghats and the river valleys. In Tamil Nadu, Kodaikanal and Ooty are frequently affected by landslide. So landslide, a rapid downward movement of rock, soil and vegetation down the slope under the influence of gravity. Landslides are generally sudden and infrequent. So the presence of steep slope and heavy rainfall are the major causes of landslide. Weak ground structure, deforestation, earthquake, volcanic eruption, mining, construction of roads and railways over the mountains are the other causes of landslide. So about 15% of the India's land mass is prone to landslide hazard. Landslides are very common along the steep slopes of the Himalayas, the Western Ghats and along the river valleys. In Tamil Nadu, Kodaikanal and Ooty are frequently affected by landslide. Then tsunami. So tsunami refers to a huge ocean waves caused by an earthquake, landslide or volcanic eruption. So tsunami refers to a huge ocean waves caused by an earthquake, landslide or volcanic eruption. It is generally noticed in the coastal region. So the waves travel between 640 to 960 km per hour. So tsunami poses a serious danger to the inhabitants of the coastal area. So actually the word tsunami is derived from the Japanese word. So tsunami is a Japanese word, so which means harbor wave. So on December 26, 2004, so local time, so 7:59 a.m., an undersea earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1 struck off the coast of Indonesian island of Sumatra. So the tsunami killed at least 2,25,000 people across a dozen countries with Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Somalia and Maldives sustaining massive damage. So in India, so we faced tsunami so recently in the year 2004. So a huge ocean waves caused by earthquake, landslide or volcanic eruption. So the 2004 tsunami occurred due to the earthquake, so an undersea earthquake in the Indonesian island of Sumatra. So that caused tsunami, so which kill more than 2,25,000 people. So along the countries of Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Somalia and Maldives. Then hazardous waste. So the waste that may or tend to cause adverse health effect on the ecosystem and human beings are called as hazardous waste. So the waste that causes adverse health effect on the ecosystem and human beings are called hazardous waste. So the major hazardous waste are radioactive substance, chemicals, medical waste, flammable waste. So then explosives, then household hazardous waste. So the wastes that may or tend to cause adverse serious health effect on the ecosystem, on the environment and human beings means then it is called as hazardous waste. So the major hazardous waste are radioactive substance, so which includes tools and unused fuel pipe of nuclear power plant. Then chemicals, so synthetic organic and inorganic metals, salt, acids and base and flammables and explosives. Medical waste, so needles, so the used needles. Then bandages, so the used bandages. Then outdated, so the expiry date, so finished drugs. Then flammable waste, then organic solvent. So flammable waste means it includes organic solvent, oil, so plasticizers and organic sludges. Then explosives, So the waste so resulting from the ordnance factory, so ordnance manufacturing and some industrial gases. So some chemical gases, some chemical industries. Then household hazardous, so which includes pesticides, waste oil, automobile battery and household battery, or sometimes even our mobile phone. So when we buy old new phone means what we uh, do our old mobile. So just we threw away no. So they are also yes, a type of waste. So they also affect the environment. So Chernobyl nuclear disaster site, so near Pripyat to become official tourist spot. So Chernobyl, so which was in Soviet Union. A nuclear accident was happened on 26th April 1986. The radiation emitted was more than 400 times than released by the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. So Chernobyl disaster, it's one of the worst nuclear disaster. So there was a nuclear power station. So there was an explosion. So that happened in 26th April 1986. So the radiation emitted from the Chernobyl nuclear power station was 400 times more than that was released by the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. So more than 350,000 people were evacuated. So from the area, and severe restrictions on permanent human settlement are still in that place. So till in Chernobyl, so severe restrictions on permanent human settlement are still in that place. So now 33 years after the incident, the exclusion zone, which covers an area now in Ukraine. So it was initially a part of Soviet Union. Now it was a part of a country called as Ukraine and Belarus. So the area which covers Ukraine and Belarus is inhabited by numerous animals and more than 200 birds species. In 2016, the Ukraine part of this zone was declared as the radiological and environmental biosphere reserve by the government. So pollution of air. So air is a mixture of several gases. The main gases are nitrogen. So for forming products such as fertilizer for plants and for making the air inert. Then oxygen for breathing and carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. So some other gases like argon, neon, helium, krypton, hydrogen, ozone, xenon and methane are also present. So air is a mixture of gases. The main composition of the atmosphere are first nitrogen. So which have so 78%. So the atmosphere have 70% of nitrogen. So used for forming products such as fertilizer for plants and for making the air inert. Then oxygen, so 20.95% for breathing, and carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, so which covers 0.03%. So other gases, so remaining gases includes argon, neon, helium, krypton, xenon, etc. So besides this, water vapor and dust particles so make their presence felt in one way or other. So air pollution is the contamination of the indoor or outdoor air by a range of gases and solids that modify its natural characters and percentage. So air pollution means so contamination of air indoor or outdoor so by a range of gases and solids that modify, that changes its natural character and percentage. So air pollutant, so that causes the substance which causes air pollution, they are called as air pollutant. So air pollutant can be categorized into primary and secondary pollutant. So primary air pollutant emitted directly from a source. So secondary pollutants, so not directly emitted such as but forms when other pollutants react in atmosphere. A primary pollutant is an air pollutant emitted directly from a source. A secondary pollutant not directly emitted but when formed with other pollutants, so they react with the atmosphere. So primary pollutants includes oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, then oxides of carbon, then particulate matter, then other primary pollutants. So secondary pollutant includes ground level ozone and smog. So air pollutants so can be categorized into primary and secondary pollutant. So primary pollutant includes oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of carbon, particulate matter, then other primary pollutants. Secondary pollutants includes ground level ozone or smog. Then pollution of water. So water pollution may be defined as a alteration in the physical, chemical and biological characteristics of water which may cause harmful effect in human and aquatic life. So water pollution, so water get polluted. So by the human or animal or any other waste. So water pollution may be defined as the alteration, so change in the physical, chemical and biological characteristics of water which may cause harmful effect in human and aquatic life. In India, water pollution has been taking place on a large scale and since a long period. So in India, water pollution has been taking place on a large scale and since a long period. So both surface and groundwater bodies are polluted to a great extent. So in India, both the surface water and the groundwater bodies are polluted to a great extent. So the major causes of the water pollution in India are urbanization, industrial waste, sewage, agriculture runoff and improper agriculture practices. So because in agriculture we use a large amount of pesticides and herbicides, so they get deposited in the soil and mixed with the water and cause pollution. Then seawater intrusion. So intrusion means so the act of entering into a place. So seawater, so that enters, that mixed with the groundwater and surface water. Then solid waste. So these are the causes of water pollution in India. Then need for prevention measures. So prevention is defined as the activity taken to prevent a natural calamity or potential hazard from having harmful effect on either people or economic property. So preventive measures means so nothing but so activities taken to prevent from a hazard. So from having harmful effect on people or on economic property. So prevention plan consists of hazard identification and vulnerability assessment. So prevention planning consists of hazard identification, vulnerability assessment. Then delayed actions may increase the economic losses. So preventive measures. So if the actions take place slowly means it may also increase the economic losses. So for developing countries like India, so prevention is perhaps the most critical component in managing disaster. So for developing countries like India, so prevention is better than cure. So India, it is also prone to so some of the hazards, so which we have discussed till now. So it may so prone to earthquake. So some of the states in India are prone to earthquake. So some may prone to flood. So some are affected by cyclonic storm. And drought. So landslide. So tsunami and hazardous waste. Then air pollution, land pollution, water pollution is common in India. So the developing countries like India. So we have to so take some steps, so some preventive steps, so in order to avoid the severity of the hazards and disaster. Okay students, so in today's class we have seen the hazard. So first we discussed so the definition for hazard, then the types of hazard. So hazards, so based on the cause of occurrence, it is classified as natural, human made and social natural hazards, and based on their origin, so classified as atmospheric, geologic, hydrologic, volcanic, environmental, biological, technological and human hazard. Then we discussed about the major hazards in India. So first we discussed about earthquake, the earthquake prone zones in India, then flood, so the major causes of flood, then the cyclonic storm. So the cyclonic storm, so the zone, so the areas which is vulnerable to storm surges we discussed. Then drought, so the major type of drought, meteorological, hydrological, then agriculture, then landslide, then we discussed about tsunami, then hazardous waste, pollution of air, then pollution of water. Then finally we discussed about so why we need preventive measures. So in order to so reduce the severity, so the harmful effect of the hazard, so natural calamity or potential hazard, so we have to take some preventive measures. So if you have any doubt in this lesson, so please contact me. So textbook reading, so take your book. So take page number 123. So read the heading types of hazard, so based on their cause of occurrence, then based on their origin. Then homework, so try to complete the book back exercise. So I will send you the answers in PDF format. So thank you students, have a nice day.